Oh, wow. Everybody's going live. Woke Book is imploding. I would love to know what's going on today.
We are live. So whenever you're ready to come back, it's fine.
1 second. Let me just.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm just sharing. Wow. You know what? I can't. I have to do it later because.
You have to do it later. Okay.
It wouldn't let me. Yeah.
Okay. No problems. This is me saying no problems, boo. We don't got no worries over here. Let me know when you're comfortable. Yes, you look amazing.
All right, cool. We good.
Are you comfortable in your chair?
I'm pretty comfortable.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. Yep. No, you good. I would have let you know. Early. All right. So welcome everybody to another episode of The Full Set. At this point in my life, I feel like this is episode 979,000. But my calendar here says it's episode number 28 of The Full Set. So thank you. I am your lovely but tired host, Didi Delgado, and I am here with my esteemed colleague, Ayanna Ife. Ayanna, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me come. I love to talk, and I love any opportunity to get up here and talk shit. It's what I do.
Oh, about to talk shit? I'm so excited for this live, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I really didn't know.
Yeah, I'm glad. The good news is that I'm sober, so I'm gonna be a bit refined.
Oh, really?
So I'll be a bit more refined than I may have been if I wasn't. So
the funny thing is that I didn't want to be sober, and I'm a little bit not sober because of highness, but that's neither here nor there. So it is what it is. Thank you for telling me it's all right. Somebody needs to tell me. All right.
But I am here, and I'm queer.
Yes, and we're not going nowhere.
Oh yeah.
All right. So everybody is saying hi. Crystal's saying hi. Sean is saying hi. Niggas is upset. Hello. I guess they're not upset, but they're incredulous about the 28 episodes so far. So we will be taking questions, Avi, but I want to introduce you to those who don't know you yet. It seems like you got a lot of fans. There's 17 people. This is probably the most people that have ever joined this live. So I just want to introduce you if that's okay.
Okay.
All right, cool. We're gonna get into this work.
Let's do it.
Ayanna Ife is an intersectional activist who speaks primarily on disability, gender, and race. Ayanna is a writer and member of Black Lives Matter Philly. Ayanna's mission is to dismantle ableism, and we're gonna get into the definition of that too, because not a lot of niggas know what it is because they do it every day. By exposing anti-blindness in society and working individually with able-bodied folks on how to be an effective ally. If y'all don't know, now you know. That PayPal link is the pinned comment, and so is the Patreon. Subscribe.
Please do.
Yes, and if you want, you can follow Ayanna on social media. I've tagged her in the post. Ayanna, welcome, baby.
Thank you, Didi, for having me. I'm so happy. I've always wanted to talk to you because you know what I like about you? You're really real.
What is happening right now? Okay, go ahead.
Not like you have a very like, how do I explain it? You're like you're authentic. In your email, like the sign thing, it says authentically, right? And that's how I would describe you. If you say like you are super like unfiltered, I like that. You say exactly how you feel, and it's not fake or like performative. That's just Didi. I can tell from the many times that I've watched you speak and things and post that this is really who you are. Like it's real, it's honest, it's raw. And that's how I know, like if you give it, like that's how I know that you're one of the people that actually give a fuck about, doing this kind of work, because this is just who you are.
Really appreciate it. I don't know what to say when people compliment me because I'm so used to people talking shit about me. So I'm like, wait, someone's adverse?
That's what I'm talking about. That right there. That was an honest admission. Like you really just keep it real. Like anybody else would have been like, cordial. Oh, thank you so much. But you told the honest truth. Look, this is what it is. People talk shit about me, but thank you for the compliment. Like I like that honesty.
Thank you, Zaddy. Let me put some shea butter on my lips. I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Let's do it.
All right. So Samantha Valstein says yes to ableism. So what the fuck is ableism?
So ableism is the specific discrimination targeted.
Ayanna, can I interrupt you for a second? I think we lost your video feed.
Are you serious?
I don't know if you accidentally pressed a button.
No, somebody's calling me. Oh my God.
Oh, okay. I see what happened. Tell them hoes you called them back. Damn. I mean,
it's okay. It's my roommate.
Unless it was your mama. Don't tell her.
No, it's my roommate. It's my roommate.
Okay, all right. Tell her how I said call you back. All right.
Okay, I got you. So let me get back to what I was saying. Ableism is a specific discrimination targeted towards folks with disabilities. Mm-hmm. So it shows up. I actually have one of my earlier posts from last year was deconstructing anti-blindness, which is a tool, which is one of the tools of ableism.
Okay.
So it's like it's a series I'm working on. Slowly but surely, I gotta live, I gotta experience, and I gotta be inspired to actually start working on it. But I have begun the deconstructing of its, insidious undertones and how it manifests. Because let me tell you something, ableism and anti-blindness specifically, I can address because that's the one I experienced. It manifests in so many different ways. And that's the crazy part, is that people have no idea that they're being ableist toward me.
Right. Because
it's so ingrained in our society that it's so hard for them to catch the shit,
If you could give an example, like I told you, this is your show. I mean, I might talk a lot of shit with you, but this is your show. This is for people, anyone really, to come in and give their experiences and their stories. I'm just using my platform to uplift it. So can you give me an example of something that is anti-blindness or something that is, you used another term, I want to recall it.
What is it?
I don't know. It's just anti-you, like your existence. Niggas just hate it because it would have to reflect. Yeah, like niggas would have to reflect on their ability and the privilege that they have, and nobody ever wants to talk about privilege. So, can you give me an example of a microaggression that you experience as a person who's living with blindness?
So, I feel like a lot of times, when I first started working at the clinic, when I had to complete my hours for my massage therapy program.
Oh, you a massage therapist, bitch? What you want to tell me?
Hell yeah, my table is right back there. My table's right there, folded up in the bag. I do this. But when I first started working at the clinic, getting my hours, I had caught the receptionist informing the clients hi, okay, we have a therapist for you, but we do want to let you know in advance she is blind. Is that okay? Are you fucking kidding me? Is that okay? Is that okay?
What?
We're still asking permission for me to exist, and it's just pissing me the fuck off. Is that okay? I caught them doing that shit.
That's wild. Do you think that that's akin to, I'm asking because I don't know. Do you think that's akin to a white woman saying, well, we do have therapists available, but the one that's available is Black? Is that okay?
Sure. But I don't know.
Or how is it different?
So I don't think that would happen as frequently anymore. I think the person, it's just, I don't think that would happen as frequently anymore because most folks know better than to be the person on the other line would be most likely would be I mean, I don't see why not. I'm not a racist, but I still think there's still a wide prevalent, there's a prevalent belief still that blind people are incapable of working no matter what it is. So we're still trying to convince people that we can work no matter what the work is. We still, even the massage, in which something I don't even have to use my vision, they still don't believe that we can work.
Right.
Just because no one ever employs us. We still have a steady, for generations, we've had a steady 75% unemployment rate for blind people for decades now. Decades. It hasn't changed, and it's worldwide too. If you look at it, globally, the stats are almost exactly the same. And those who are employed are underpaid.
So what would you say, because that was one of the questions I had for you, like, um, before I ask the question, I would say, what would you say to people who are like, oh, but there's laws against discrimination
I
and
get that
there's
a lot.
agency. Yeah, right, right.
I get that a lot.
Why do
I'm
you
like,
think people want to bring the legal system into your conversation about people
because
telling
they
you?
find it, because when I tell them, I'm like, yeah, I still can't get a job. People discriminate against blind people. They're like, but that's illegal. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is that supposed
Not
to
funny,
mean?
but the way you did the face.
Like, that's illegal. And I'm like, okay, and you think they blatantly say, hey, we can't hire you because you're blind, sure, now sue me. No, of course, that's fucking ridiculous. Of course, no one says that. They say you're just not what we're looking for. We just want to go a different route. I'm sorry, but we didn't know about your disability. Are you sure? And then they'll say, well, we just don't have the funds to create an accessible environment for you. And it just makes me want to blow things up,
You want me to fight them? Because I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
So one of the questions I had to ask you was, like, how does your intersection affect your access to stable housing and employment and like your ability to make money? And then the second prong to that is like, does technology help or hinder your ability to make money?
Okay. So
yeah, okay, bitch. I mean, that's how you say it.
Nah, for real, because let me take a deep breath, because this is
Go ahead. I mean, we got all day. Nobody's leaving you. Go ahead.
Hold on. So
this is important.
I'll start with employment, because that's a good like segue into it. But with employment, like I said, it's a steady 75% unemployment rate, and that, of course, that affects my access to employment. So a lot of people I know don't feel comfortable even trying to get off of government assistance, because they're like, all right, what if I do get like a job and I get laid off, and now I'm off of Social Security supplemental income, and then they don't let me back on? Or what if I get married? Like I know someone who they're both like visually impaired, and they got married, and they cut their fucking Social Security supplemental income significantly, because they both weren't working, and they're both on disability, and they decided to get married. So we're really discouraged from even marrying, because they think we're trying to get over on the fucking government. So fuck a stable family, somewhere to live, because I'm living with my best friend right now, because this is all I can afford. I literally I was living with some wild ass white people 2 years ago, who
when you said you was living with white people, I already knew how it was going to end.
Listen, oh my God. But the things you have to do when your resources are limited. I wanted to get out of my family's house. I don't feel good. I don't feel like we have a healthy living environment when I'm living with my family. I wanted to leave. They were like, pissing me off. I was like, fuck it. Like, don't talk to me anymore. I cut everybody off, and I moved in with a nice person who said, hi, I'm a trans man, and I'm blind, and I'm Middle Eastern. Turns out they weren't blind or Middle Eastern. They were lying. I didn't know. Like, I felt so guilty for not knowing that someone was blind.
Why did you feel guilty?
Because I didn't know. How do I not know you're not really blind? Like, they had a cane. They pretended they knew things, but they weren't blind. They were like lying about everything. And that was frightening. It was like some Lifetime shit. Like, this person was so violent. And they were like one day it got so bad because they wanted more of my money.
Right.
The person and the white woman that was also living there, like he manipulated her. I guess she says that she was heavily manipulated and abused by him to make, like, me and her were the only ones paying rent, even though I'm the Black blind woman. This person was claiming to be a Middle Eastern white. He's a white guy claiming to be a Middle Eastern visually impaired person. She could see. She decided white people have so much fucking power that she got to decide which blind person should pay to live here and which one should live for free.
That's so fucked up.
She decided.
What am I listening to? A real story. This is a real story. The fuck?
Listen, I hope you don't I hope you don't have this person in this space. Like, I'd be fucking terrified, because I remember like when I was on Facebook around that time, they had added me as a friend, and like a lot of people I knew were like adding this person, and it was just so fucking scary, bro. Like,
when you get a chance, can you inbox me their name, please?
yes, absolutely.
For the moment, I wish you could see the shade on my face, because I feel like breaking something apart. Move your chair over to the left a little bit, babe, because I just want you to be centered on the camera. Okay.
Did it work?
Yep. Okay. No, you in a good position now. I mean, you were so angry, you slid off the screen. So
that's me all the time. I was furious. But he was like, it's a long, girl, I could tell you, it's a long story. Like, if we had more time, he was like manipulating her into telling her that they were in a relationship. So she decided she loved him and he shouldn't have to pay to live there. And I was the real blind person. I had to pay to live there. And they were like, you need to give us more money. And I was like, no. They were like, get the fuck out. I don't care where you go. It's the middle of the night. Get the fuck out.
That's so wild.
So my best friend came in the middle of the night. I got her an Uber. She got out of her bed in the middle of the night and came to get me. And we lived together from then to now. And she really saved my fucking life, bro. Like, yo, it's crazy when I think about that. Shit was scary, but that's what you have to do when you don't have many options. Where was I supposed to? I can't afford rent. I had no job at the time. And then I found
you don't have a job because no one's hiring people who are blind.
Exactly. So eventually I found massage therapy, and I had to rub elbows and shoes a whole lot of fucking white people to get them to, I had to beg for my state disability organization to even let me go to massage therapy school, because at first they said no. They said, you're not going to get a job. We're not financially funding that. And I had to threaten them. I mean, a few people know the story. I had to threaten them, beg them to please fund it so I could go to school. You know, I finally did it. And now, you know, I was supposed to graduate, but the quarantine happened. So I'm waiting to graduate and then take my licensure exam. So okay. I can try to get clients and try to start, you know, living a normal life. But a lot of things happen to me because I don't have access to stability. That's something I don't have.
I appreciate you sharing that story, because like a lot of us, you know, like Tanya tells me, a lot of us experience trauma. And I would, like, I've had stories, but I would never have imagined someone pretending. That sound like single white female, like that. Trying
to scary.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
He used to tell, like, he never told us, me and the white girl, because she didn't know any of this, but she was so like desperate to be loved by anyone.
I mean, aren't we all?
But it's different when you have the power of being a white woman and you allow that to determine how you treat actual marginalized people. That's violent. Right. So your desperation to be loved should not affect my life so drastically. So
that's a word. Can somebody write that down? You said your desperation to be loved should not have affected my life so drastically.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
You're a poet. I feel it.
I used to be a rapper.
Bitch, you surprise me every fucking day.
I did this shit for 10 years. I used to, but
you used to rap? Okay.
Yeah, I used to. I can show you. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, no. So she allowed that to affect my life so drastically. But I was making a point just then. I was gonna say, I don't know.
It's okay. We can come back to it if you remember.
But yeah, if I remember, I'll let you know again. But yeah, it just sucked that I had no control over. I begged her. I said, please, something. Oh, that's what I was gonna tell you. That he told us both that he was in the military, but he was in jail for like aggravated assault of like, yeah, like he was in jail for like aggravated assault. And you like this I trusted this person because they were like a trans person. They were part of the LGBTQ community.
And you really yourself are a Black queer woman, so
yeah, and disabled. So this person used any and every identity
for social capital
to lure over anybody, that even saying that they were Middle Eastern. Like, yeah, you know.
So he became a person of color overnight.
Yes, a trans person of color who had uterine cancer Oh
What?
my God, it's a fucking movie. Like, there was no uterine cancer.
I hope you write the script. I really
Oh my
do. I
God.
hope you put
There
that
was,
shit on your
listen,
Patreon. I'll pay to watch it and read it.
there was no uterine cancer. There was no, it was all a lie. They was like, I used to scrub their fucking house, top to bottom. I'd be like, are you gonna help? No, I have cancer. I have vertigo. You're gonna clean this fucking house. I'm like, how dare a white man talk to me like this? This is the type of shit that makes me still hate them to this fucking day. Like, I felt so terrified because I had nowhere to go. I left my family. I had nowhere to go. So I just had to literally be abused like it was fucking 1950 by a fucking white man. Like,
Right. Thank you for sharing that. It's so funny that, not funny, but it's ironic that you're sharing this story with me. And I'm like, do I ask my next question and say, as a blind woman, right? And someone was like, see how long you can go through the interview without naming that she's a blind woman. I was like, that actually defeats the purpose of having this conversation in the first place, because if you're saying that ableism is the ability that able-bodied folks have to not even notice or not factor in, right, how things affect you as a disabled person. I want to ask the next question because I feel like that's a beautiful transition.
Before can I comment on that comment though?
Yes.
So this, I understand what they're trying to say is like, it would be nice for me to feel like a person without, but I live in an ableist society. I'm intricately linked to my fucking, I can't shake it off. There's no way. I tried. I can't. I'm intricately linked to it. We have to talk about it. We can't, I don't see color our way out of this. We can't.
Okay.
It's here. Look at me. Fucking look at me. I'm blind. It's here. We can't ignore it. We have to talk about this shit, And there's no way to talk about it without naming it. If we never named ableism, if we never named racism, then how the fuck would we know what we were talking about?
So it's sort of like in my line of work, if I work with white people and I never name the fact that they're being racist or that they're pursuing racist ideologies or whatever, and we just keep moving, everything's fine here. The dog with the coffee cup, everything is fine here, you're saying that if I don't name it, I'm actually, am I participating in your erasure if I just continue with the conversation as if you're not a person that needs certain provisions in order for us to continue having a conversation about this phone call, how it happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, for me, it was different because I had to do research. I didn't want it to hurt you, upset you. And I was like, I need to make sure accessibility is a thing here, because one time you didn't curse me out, you cursed somebody I knew out. But I learned from that. I was like, I don't want no parts of that smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just learned from that, and I knew you were going to be on the show. I did have a lot of anxiety, but because I feel like you're the more marginalized person, I made sure that, and I told you, I was like, I'm probably gonna fuck up 5-6 times during this conversation, but I'm willing to be in that uncomfortable space. So that way I'm doing my job, and hopefully by the end of this, we get some questions answered, this, that, and the third. So yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like that happens. That's not a lot of people. This is the space in which we know each other. It's a space where finally everyone's marginalization can be like magnified, and they can feel valid. But then what happens when you run into somebody who has less privilege than you? Then you still feel like, I think it kind of makes people I think it still kind of makes folks feel away when they come into contact with someone who's still significantly more marginalized than them. It's like, well, damn, like, how do I explain this? I think it makes them feel like it's unusual, especially in this space, because people are used to being, this is the place where you can center your marginalization. But then when you come into contact with someone and you feel like you no longer feel like the star of your own show now that you've come into contact with someone significantly more marginalized. You're like, damn, I gotta do work. This is supposed to be the place where I ask for work to be done for me. You know what I tell niggas? Like, you have to give reparations, and then you come into contact with somebody who you gotta do that shit for. And you're like, oh damn, it's no longer, I can't censor myself here. And that's something I learned by being in this space, is that people were used to censoring themselves before I got here. Then when I got here, they were like, oh shit, it's not about me. It's like a man coming into our space, right? They realize like, oh shit, I can't censor myself. Like, even though I'm a Black man and hooty hoo blah blah blah, I can't censor myself here. And you know, it kind of puts things into perspective.
Thank you for that. We have a question. We actually have two questions, but I feel like they actually go together because you and I talked about this question. So the question that I have is, what is my question? How does living your life as a Black woman who is blind meter the temperature of your romantic, familial, and platonic relationships? And the reason why I asked that question, come on, breathe outside, is because two Black women have commented. Samantha Van Alsten says, are you currently in a romantic relationship? And if not, do you find that your disability negatively affects your dating life?
Okay.
There's also another question about parenting, so bookmark that.
Okay, yeah, hold that one. Okay, I'm gonna try to address.
Tell us all the things, because I don't know.
So, I didn't start. Oh, okay. So my experiences with dating have changed significantly since I came out. And since I started dating as a queer woman, they've changed. My experiences have changed, because prior to this, I was dating visually impaired. I was never dating. Ain't nobody ever commit to me. Let me start there. So no,
why are you reading me for filth?
So okay, let me start there. I was like I was searching for love, is what I think, honestly.
Are you a Pisces?
No.
Oh. Okay.
That's why, see, astrology don't never get me right. That's why I can't, it never can pinpoint me.
Well, I'm not an astrology though. I'm not an astrologer though. I just wanted to know, because I feel like I'm a Pisces. I'm always out here looking for love. I'm about to get married.
But I feel like like in terms of astrology, people always like, oh, such and such is like this. And I'm like, but I don't fit these. And then they're like, but you have to look at your whole natal chart. And I'm like, I did. Y'all still can't pinpoint. But anyway, let me get back to what
go ahead.
So I started out by dealing with visually impaired guys that I knew from like school and from friends of friends of friends. And I didn't like it because I wasn't straight and I don't like men. But there was something that I felt with them that I have never felt when I dated. I've never dated a blind woman, but I've dealt with sighted women. Now, dealing with blind people, there's a comfortability and a safety that I feel that I cannot, like, there is something so, I feel so like unattractive when I'm dealing with sighted people. Like, I feel so undesirable. Like, I do not feel that with, even though, you know, like I said, even though I don't really fuck with guys like that, like, at least they made me feel like my disability couldn't stop them, because it feels like sighted people have to wrestle with their fucking feelings for me, and I end up having to coddle them and tell them that they're not ableist and try to walk them through it, and it's just exhausting. It's so exhausting. And it's like, I hate that it frustrates me when I fall in love with them, because I end up having to do so much labor to try to be this perfect fucking blind person, and then it's still never enough, because they're like, I still have things I need to work through. I'm just not good enough for you. Then like, why did you come to me? Like, when I got on Tinder, listen, I started. You
were on Tinder, bitch. You made a mistake. Okay.
Still, and the shenanigans. I went out with this one girl. I told her way before we hung out. I was like, look, I'm blind. She's like, it's okay. I like you. I like you so much. You're so fine. You this, you that. And I'm like,
you are fine. I will give you that. You're Thanks. A very beautiful Black woman.
Yeah, I'm
not hating on you. I'm looking at you to tell you what I see. You're a very beautiful Black woman.
I know. it's, I don't know. Like, so she said that I like you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm letting you know now, like, I really am visually impaired. Like, not a little bit, like a lot. You know, I can see certain things, but not enough, you know. She was like, I don't care, you know, I really want to date you. I'm not that kind of person. I wear glasses. And I'm just like, that's not the same.
You're like, bitch, no
okay.
one's talking to you right now.
So we go out, we get something to eat. And like, I remember like looking for something on the table, and she was like, oh, it's right there. I could just tell she was growing increasingly more anxious and uncomfortable about me having a disability. So after we went out, she walked me home and she hugged me, and we never spoke again. And that's just one instance. There's other people who are like, who think that being my friend is much, even if they are attracted to me, they feel like being my friend is much less work than actually loving me romantically. So they're like, can we just be friends? And I'm like, you can't just, you want parts of me that you want certain parts of me, but because you don't want to do that work, and because you have issues with me and with yourself, you don't want to do the work. I feel like a lot of sighted people won't do the work to love me. And it just makes me, it fucks with me. Like, it fucks with me a lot because it is work. And if I had a marginalized partner, I would just do that fucking work. Like, I wouldn't make excuses and just say it's too hard and we move on. But like, or let me just be your friend. Because being my friend is actual work. Ask my best friend. She takes care of me. She looks out for me. When we go to the club, we link arms like the whole time we're there. Like, we're like arm in arm the whole, because she has a visual impairment and I have a visual impairment, and she knows what it means to make sure that you feel safe and I feel safe. And I drop some shit, she automatically looks for it to help. Like, she just
Bendito. Okay, right.
She never makes it feel like it's too hard to love me. And like, so many sighted people make me feel like that, and it just makes me reclusive. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot.
I'm gonna hold space for that. I think so many people left comments for you about their heartbreaking about hearing this, and I'm trying not to cry. I'm such a fucking crybaby.
You and me both, getting all choked up, and I'm like, damn, this should get me again.
Because I wonder, like, what's the correlation? Like, you know, I think about marginalized folks. You know, when we talk about Black trans women, when we talk about Black fat women, when we talk about Black cash poor women, when we talk about now Black blind women, what is it? And then, you know, there are other people who are Black and disabled who have joined the conversation and are chiming in. What is it about being oppressed that makes you so unlovable, or feel like you're too much to deal with because you come with this thing that you didn't ask for? You know, oppression has been forced on us.
There's that, and then there's also the fact that you don't bring as much social capital. You're not a trophy, and people don't want to acknowledge how desirability politics are still so fucking shallow. Like, I don't even know another word for it. Like, it's just we don't offer as much social capital as we would if we were. People want to show off their partner. They want to be able to, it's just so much shit. And it's just, people want to be the most marginalized person. Listen, if you, like, let's say like you find yourself attracted to a woman for the first time.
But
like, you're used to dating men primarily, right?
Okay.
You're used to being the most marginalized person in your relationship, and you're used to indulging in the privileges that affords you. Now, when you date someone equal to you or more marginalized than you, you're no longer going to be doted on as much. You have work to do now.
It's really hard being in a relationship with a woman. I've tried 5 times, and I get what you're saying now. I feel like you just dragged me for filth. I appreciate being the most marginalized person in the country.
Thank you. Didi was the first one to be honest. Let it be known. You are the first one to, this is why I knew I liked you. No one has ever admitted it. When I tell you they dance around it, you know, they skip, people enjoy being the most marginalized person in their relationship. You get treated well. People want to be treated well. And dating us is just too much work. No one's gonna, you know, you're not going, it's just not. There's just not. And people want to feel like They want to feel like super valuable and super like you want to be happy to have. They want to be happy to be had. And like they don't want to do work. They really honestly don't want an equal relationship. Like honestly, come on now. Who really wants an equal relationship where both partners are treated equally? Please, come on. People don't want that. And that's what I learned by being super fucking oppressed.
Right.
That's what I learned, is that people do not want a relationship in which we both do equal amounts of work. It doesn't feel as good. You have to be more accountable, and there's guilt that comes with it when you fuck up, you know? So.
Bitch, a word and a half. Okay. All right.
Can I just thank you for being honest? No one has ever admitted fucking kills me when I try to talk. Yeah, you. Because it kills me when I try to talk to women like, why is this so hard for you? And then they won't acknowledge that because I have to do more work. No one will say, I like being the most marginalized person in my relationship. They do. You like.
I would like to say that I agree with you. And I'm also wondering, hold on, I need some weed because I can't believe I just admitted that on national television.
I can't with Didi Delgado. I cannot.
I'm trying to be a better person in 2020. It's really difficult.
Your honesty makes you a really good person, and it's validating to hear. No.
This is so ghetto.
I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Okay. Can I have a Pepsi, please? Thank you. This coffee is cold. Okay. So the second question was, oh my God, I don't know if I'm crying because of the smoke, or I don't know if I'm crying because I'm sad. This is Sherry said, Ayanna, you just out here telling my business. And Sherry also said that this conversation is raising her awareness so much because she's never thought about some of these things, and she herself is disabled. The question,
there's levels to this disability. There's levels to it, you know? We're not a monolith. There are definitely, it's a hierarchical thing.
Let's see. There was a question. Oh, Robin Denise said, what would you tell a mom that has a child struggling with being blind? And I'm only asking you this because you were once that child. So what tips could you have told your mom? Like,
she is my mom. Mom. Okay.
Mom.
I was jarred by the fact that she commented. Can you read it again? Because I stopped. Yes.
I don't know what to do when people's moms join the show. Like,
listen,
should we stop swearing?
She knows how I am. So
does she know about the weed? All right.
Oh my God. I'm not high, so
it's me.
Okay.
So Robin said, what would you tell a mom that has a child struggling with being blind?
So I feel like I was reading someone post about this earlier. I wish I knew exactly who it was, but a lot of parents with children with disabilities impose their shame, their issues, and their fears on their child. And it was somebody, but then it was like, can y'all stop doing that? Because I'm tired of having to deal with these grown up, disabled folks who have like these issues of respectability and these issues of shame and this hatred. Like, and let me say something. I dealt with this guy. He had
it's already a terrible story. I can feel it's
horrible. I had dealt with a guy, and he had gotten shot like 5 years prior, and that's how he became blind. But this is how I learned how the disabled community, how the sighted community really feels about us when they have to become us. He hated it. He hated the fact that I was as best he could get. He felt like he hated the fact that he had to be blind. He hated it. And he took it out on me and himself every single day. It was fucked up. And I had to deal with that. And that's because nobody's teaching their children, disabled or not, that it's fucking being blind is dope. And it gives you a unique experience. Like, I hope if I were to ever have a kid, I would hope that my child was disabled. I don't want a privileged, able-bodied child. I don't want it. I don't want a white child. I don't want an able-bodied child. I don't want to deal with it,
I can't live my life like this. What would you say to people who would tell you that it would be irresponsible? Because, you know, we get into the conversation about eugenics all the time. What would you say to people who tell
Woo!
you?
My favorite.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right, thanks.
That's my favorite
Thought it was just
conversation.
me.
That's my
What would you?
favorite fucking conversation. Let me get into it.
Okay, we can get into it. So, what would you say
Okay.
to people who feel it would be irresponsible of you to even entertain the question about being a blind woman and having children?
Okay. So the eugenic this is my motto. The eugenics movement is alive and well. And when I tell you they are trying to slowly but surely kill us right the fuck off, and that is and like making it so that there are no more of us, and making it so that folks don't want to have a disabled child, and they have organizations like curing blindness. Fuck you. You're not going to cure me. I don't want your like I had a whole argument with this girl that I was seeing at one point. She was like, so you wouldn't want, because there's like some kind of like thing they're working on, some kind of, it's not a cure, but it's like they're working on some kind of not vaccine. I don't know.
Vaccine.
But I don't know if it's called something else, but it's supposed to give you maybe a little bit of your vision back. I don't want that. Why should I want to be like it's like, and she was like, why wouldn't you want to have at least more? What's wrong with how I see now? Are y'all upset that y'all have to do more for me? Or is it upsetting that, you know, oh, you're trying to, like, you don't even want to be, I do not want to be cited. If somebody came to me with a full cure and was like, here, take this. No, I'm not fucking taking that. I don't want that. Like, I would have to this has shaped my whole entire existence. I would have to, first of all, that would be jarring even to experience life in that. I don't know what it's like to see completely. Like, I can see a little bit, but I wouldn't know. I would be confused. I feel like my brain was shut down, for one. But also,
were you born blind?
I was born visually impaired. Yeah. It's congenital. So it's genetic.
I know about congenital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's genetic with like my parents had the gene. And I have a sister. She's about to be 12. And she has a completely different rare visual impairment, which is strange. But here we are. Yeah, right. It's congenital, and I would never discourage somebody from having blind children. And I hate when I have to have conversation with blind people when they're like, "Oh, I'm just so glad I knew a girl. She was like, I'm glad my son isn't blind like me." And I'm like, well, why would you say that? Oh, it's just a terrible life. I just don't like it. Just like, you've been like this your whole life and you still hate yourself. Like,
so, I think someone's calling you, boo.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted you to get rid of your notification so we can see you.
Let's see. Did it work?
Yes, it did.
Let's go.
All right.
I know why. It's a low battery notification.
Bitch, you better charge your fucking battery.
Hold on.
My dong is all in my butt cheek. It's just too much going on here.
I love your honesty. I'm so here for it.
I feel like people hate it here. Like, I really do.
Oh my God. Listen.
Thank you.
But let's continue.
Yes.
I just, to sum it up, I think it's super telling when people would like try to, and it's super telling of how alive and well the eugenics movement is when folks try to talk about like curing blindness and having children without any screening for it, all this shit.
I just want to give a short definition of eugenics.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I didn't know about it until 2 years ago, and I think it was Bad Dominicana that was posting about it, and I was like,
she always talks about it. She does.
I was like, let me look this up. So I'm just off the top of nogenetics.org. Eugenics is a movement that is aimed at improving, and I'm putting quotation marks with my fingers, the genetic composition of the human race. Historically, eugenicists advocated selective breeding to achieve these goals. Today, we have technologies that make it more possible to directly alter the genetic composition of an individual. But before there was science, yeah, it's, what'd you call it?
From the Greek, good genes.
So eugenics, as my college SUNY grad over here is talking about, comes from the Greek word good genes. And so you think of people like the Nazis, who definitely performed eugenics because they were trying to make everyone blonde haired and blue eyed. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Can I give you an example? Example right here, right now, today. So an example of eugenics, not only like if you go further and read articles about how they used to like segregate disabled folks off and like hide them away. They used to send their children away to these like facilities so they wouldn't be a burden on the rest of the world. Like they used to do, they used to do shit like that, right?
Right.
But now
I think of Willowbrook when I think of that.
Yeah, but now it's not over. Like you see now how they're just gotten more creative and more insidious, where they keep us locked out of the workforce, or they give us $750 a month and say live on that, and if you can't, die. So that's just it. Like they are really trying to get us right the fuck out of here.
Right
out of here.
And I'm glad you posited that because I think of I'm ableist as fuck because I think of eugenics obviously as breeding. I think of the rabbit-proof fence. I think of all of that. I think of families. Tanya talked about this. Families. When you think of white families, they're allowed to have more than 2 kids, 3 kids, and no one bats an eye, and no one questions how will they be able to take care of all these kids. But let a Black mother have more than 1 or 2 kids, and people start side-eyeing, and especially if she's on government assistance. So giving me this lens that like, oh, well, in the disabled community, eugenics looks like this. That was really helpful to me, and I appreciate it. People are inboxing me, asking me for your Venmo. I just told them to send me the money, and we will give it to you. So thank you very much. For those of y'all who are just joining, please know that Ayanna's PayPal and Patreon is the pinned comment. Do your best, like on it, love on it, let people see that it's the top. Thank you. All right. I have something else to ask you.
Okay.
This is my something else to ask you, Face. You just dropped a Funk Master Flex mixtape called Power, Privilege, and Disability: Unlearning Ableism, and you dropped that on your Patreon. Can you let niggas know why they need to subscribe to your content?
Can you see me? Because now I have to hold the phone.
Why you had to hold the phone?
Because I took it off of my tripod to plug it into the charger.
Okay, I see what you're saying here. All right.
Yeah. So I'm holding it. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
So this is why you need to subscribe to my Patreon, because I could very well be giving this information out for free, but I'm not your goddamn mule. Not you particularly, but I'm talking about everybody who.
I mean, you couldn't be talking to me. I subscribe to your Patreon. I mean, so.
So for folks who are like, well, what does inclusion look like? Or what do you want me to do? Or what can I do better? Or can you send me can you remind me to do image descriptions? No longer. Now I'm charging niggas for everything. I'm charging you even to put up. Now I'm charging people just to put up a reminder about describing your images. I done told y'all how. Right. I done showed folks.
I get guilty. I'm guilty of that. I know you hate me when I do that. I know you be like, this bitch know better. I do know better. And sometimes I just be lazy and I don't be thinking about who else cannot see my content. And what you're saying is, if I post an image, especially if I post it to Instagram and you're not following me on Instagram, but I share it to Facebook and I don't put an image description, you're saying that your screen reader, which is the device that helps you read content, is not going to read it.
No, it's not.
No screenshots, no memes, no GIFs, no nothing.
None of it. But Twitter is super cool now. Twitter they have an accessibility feature. Shout out to Twitter.
Okay.
Now you can.
Well, don't give them too much credit. Go ahead though.
But now you can put a description within the GIF. So now people have been doing that, and I'm like, I'm about to move right on over to Twitter because these GIFs are and these memes they have descriptions now, and I'm like, that's dope. Like I fuck with it because I'm still begging people on Facebook to do it and telling them and trying to be nice and like beg them please. And I
just want to uplift that because you're the person who actually taught me about that. So I do the ableism thing because I worry about able-bodied people who can see, or you call them sighted people, right? I think about those people being like, oh, why is Dee Dee writing the description when I can already read? And I think that we just need to not saying that I'm here to keep muling, like you said, but we need to let people know because they're not hearing. And this is the perfect opportunity. 17 people are tuned in right now. And this is also going to be a podcast. People need to understand you cannot see the content. I don't, is there an error message if I share something and your screen reader can't read it? Or
It
does
just says, sometimes it'll say a description is unavailable. Sometimes it'll just say photo. Sometimes
that's so fucked up because I be publishing some funny ass shit and you can't read it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
well,
so
I mean,
this is a me problem. I need to be mindful that there are people who cannot see images, and I need to be cognizant of that and try very hard to be inclusive because I have a following of people who cannot see my content unless I write it out.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say about the image descriptions? I don't know, but what's most important is now I'm charging for reminders. No more freebies, okay? So so I'm doing that on my Patreon. I'm writing the piece like I just did about power, privilege, and disability, unlearning ableism. I really encourage people to read that because it really it's actually changed the way people have messaged me and told me it's changed the way that they think about even their own relationships and their role. A white woman contacted me and was like, wow, like now I actually—
It's already bad, sis.
Huh?
You said a white woman contacted you and I said it's already bad, sis. Go ahead though.
Yeah. She contacted me and told me like how she just now, after reading my article, was like evaluated her role as the white person in a family of Black people being married and having Black children. How, you know, she has to examine how her role could be negatively affecting the Black people in her family. And then so the way I discussed it is like it was about the power differential and like how that affects, how that is so like how that power differential is so powerful over the people who you could be dating who have disabilities. It's like you think
you were talking about that the social inclusion affects power differential in interabled relationships, right?
Yeah, that's what it was all about. And it's like I remember in the piece I talk about this woman who was like, yeah, I think my boyfriend is tired of helping me. Like he was walking ahead of me, you know, to the car, and like I was trying to catch up to him and listen to where he was walking, and I was like, where's the car door? And he just wouldn't tell me. Like he was just mumbling. He was just like, oh, it's right there, you know. And they don't understand how much even like in that circumstance, or what if they break up and like you're dating somebody who used to be your ride to work, like it has so like now that's affected your money, your transportation. It's just in like the power. This is another thing, the power of being loved by us, bro. Like I it's so dangerous. I always fear when I fall in love with a sighted person. It's like, oh no, like this, like falling in love with them gives them even more power over me than they already have. And it's like they never recognize it. And that's when they're like, oh, well, I just won't date you then because it's just too hard. No, do the fucking work. Like, be a better person. Ask people. Like this girl was telling me, oh, you know, I was on a date with this guy who's a wheelchair user, and he was having trouble grabbing his cup. And I just grabbed it for him or put it to his mouth or something. And she was like, I knew when I did it that it was wrong. And I was like, you could have just asked him. Like, we are human. You can't just ask us questions, what we need. If you just ask somebody what they need, like they'll tell you. If you just ask us for once what we need, instead of taking complete and utter control over our smallest acts in our daily life.
Right.
Like, it's so.
I don't want to interrupt you. I think someone had either called you because your video is off again.
Oh, goddamn battery.
No, I just want to make sure you're good. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure you're good. And if you need the video to be off, just let me know. I just don't want you to feel like, you know.
No, I'm good. Okay. We good? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's about how they just, I was talking to another visually impaired homegirl of mine, and we were talking about there's this way of assisting blind people. It's called Sighted Guide. So the blind person latches onto the arm of the sighted person right here at the bicep. I don't know if you can see my bicep.
No, because you're holding your phone in your arm.
Okay. You latch onto their bicep and they walk next to you and they're supposed to be the person guiding you. But so often sighted people just haphazardly bump you into shit, run you into shit. And then they're just kind of just like, oops. And then I was talking about how that happens so prevalently. But then I was like, even in emotional relationships, they kind of just haphazardly drag us the fuck around. The only difference is we don't have any bruises. Like when they run us into poles, we don't have any bruises in emotional relationships. So they don't even see how much we're hurt, how much they hurt us and cause us pain and make us fucking bleed and leave bruises and scars. It's just, it hurts, you know? So
what would your ideal, this is not even on the list of questions, what would your ideal relationship look like? Living in the body you've lived in for all these years.
Romantic?
I mean, yeah, I feel
Okay.
like you have a good relationship with your best friend. What
Yeah,
would
I
a good
love her so much. And that's the scary part, that how much I love her, how much she's the best person in my life. And it's just like, I want more people. I don't want to put that burden of relying solely on her to be the only good person in my life. Like I want more people, but I think my ideal relationship would be with someone who has actually done the work to love me and is willing to do that work to love me. Like there's this one question that my therapist asked me once. It was in the initial interview. It was like, how would you know one day if you woke up, how would you know that your issue was no longer there? How would you know you were healing or things had changed? And people would treat me better. Like I would know that I was in a healthy relationship because I wouldn't feel like this. I wouldn't feel so easily discarded. I wouldn't feel so like haphazardly dragged around emotionally. Right. I would feel protected and safe and valued. I do not feel valued by people that I date. And that's crazy. Like I just don't.
Are you saying like even on a baseline level? Because I think about there's long-term romantic relationships and then there's dating. And so even on a basic level, you described a story earlier where you had just gone out on a date and it was uncomfortable for you because you felt like you were making her uncomfortable just by you existing. It's like you can't even just go and enjoy yourself, right?
It was so exhausting. And it reminded me of an episode of The Good Doctor, my favorite show. When Sean, he went out on he has autism. He went out on a date with this girl and it went okay. But when his friends were like, did you enjoy the date? Would you go back on it again? And because he was explaining like what happened during the date. And he was like, no, I do not want to go on another date. I don't. They were like, well, it didn't seem like it was that bad. He was like, well, it was for me. It was fine for her. She got to enjoy herself. But I had to do so much work to not let my autism be so like visible. And that's just so recognizable and so like easy to notice. And that's how I kind of feel. Like I feel like it's exhausting dating because I have to be so perfect for them. Like if I didn't have to work so hard, it's just they wrestle so much when they're attracted to me. Like I was hanging out with this girl and we met on Tinder and we hung out a few times. And one day she was like, oh, like, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah, sure. Like we were chilling.
Like the bullshit. I feel it coming on.
We were chilling. We were actually chilling in her house, like watching a movie. And she was like, can I kiss you? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, it's like we lit. Like, what's up? Let's go.
Every day we lit.
We lit. Every day we was having a good ass time that night. She was like really into me. And so I started to reciprocate. Like we hung out a few more times and I thought we was like chilling. Like, right. I thought we were into each other because she asked me. Right. So then one day she was like, you want to know why we haven't had sex? And I was like, well, I didn't ask, but sure. And she's like, because, I just don't want to I don't want to ruin our friendship. And I was like, but she's like, I don't want to ruin our friendship. And, I'm already sleeping with some other people now. She said she was polyamorous. And Yeah,
A
she was
lot of bitches who are
polyamorous.
polyamorous just be telling on themselves. Go ahead.
She said she was polyamorous and she was unattached. And I was like, okay, so we met on a dating app, right? So I'm thinking that, okay, of course, silly me for thinking that meant that you kept inviting me over and you kissed me.
No, she's gaslighting
So
you. I'm telling you right now, it's not my business, but it's my business because you're on my show. Don't let that bitch gaslight you. I swear to
when
God.
I asked her straight up, I was like, does this have anything to do with me being blind? She's like, no, I'm very attracted to you. Didn't even think about it. I don't like when people don't think about it before they answer. She was like, no, I'm very attracted to you. But she was like, but if you want to learn what it's like to be with a woman, we can like test that out. I was like, excuse me, did you just, why would you ever say, I don't want to have sex with you, then offer to fuck me for pity? Like that was the rudest thing and she really thought that she was doing me a favor. I'm so tired. Oh my God, I hate dating. I hate it so much. It makes my stomach hurt. It does. So she asked to fuck me, and I told her that was super offensive and like, don't ever say anything like that to me again.
So you hate dating, and so like, how is your sex life? I mean, I feel like there's this stigma that disabled people are not supposed to be fucking for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's a whole stigma, and maybe that's why I cannot indulge in hookup culture. I can't, because people make it a big deal. Like, don't assume just because I'm disabled that I just want to fucking marry you and like have. I don't want to be with you. Like, I thought we were just, like. Why?
I don't want to be with you.
I did not want to be with these people. Like, they made it such a big deal just to sleep with me. So, like, if even when I did have sex with them, it was just always a mess of me having to like dig and ask questions about why are y'all making this a bigger deal than it has to be. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm dating women. Men are nasty. They would have fucked me with no problem. But they're fucking gross. They're gross.
Yeah, I can't.
But women, I don't know. They think they're doing me a favor by not sleeping with me, and that's never the case. Like, you're never doing me a favor. Like, they don't even deserve to touch me. If
you're like, thanks for saving me.
Yeah, like, girl, you're probably trash. So I don't even want to. She said, but if you need to explore, like, if you want to learn what a woman's body is like, then we could. I was like, but you said you didn't want to. She was like, but like, to help you. I said, to help me what? Like, I'm not a virgin. Like, to help me what? Like, what are you helping me with? What made you assume that I've never had sex before? What made you assume that you were the first person to ever like me? So there are issues. And that's why
there are issues.
That's why I'm always in a bad mood, because I can't have sex because people make it difficult. I can't date. I can't fall in love because ableism is just still so prevalent, and they have power. How is it that so many people can have so much power over my sex life?
Right.
It's crazy. This my friend was telling me that she knew a blind guy. He used to invite guys over at night. He used to meet them on Grindr. He used to invite them over at night because no one would really pay attention at the fact that he couldn't see, so he wouldn't tell them. So that's something, right? Because he wanted to try to take that power back a little bit, even though it doesn't work. But because
you still feel erased because you're not having sex with someone who sees you for more than just your body parts.
But he also felt like he was kind of taking back some of the control, like some of it was his decision, like, because we feel like we don't get a chance to decide. It's like they already decide, no, I can't fuck you, you're disabled. So it's like he felt like he gave himself a chance to, I mean, of course it didn't work. Like, he wasn't safe. That's not a safe way to date. But he was trying to take some power back, some control back over his life that people take from us every day. They rob us of our agency and autonomy.
Right. There is a woman in your mentions on this show, on the comments. And I won't repeat to you. I want you to read it on your own personal time. But I won't repeat to you what she said. But I would say it's safe for me to say she may be interested in you.
They always think they are in the beginning. You can't.
Oh shit! You better let it know, racist.
cannot, they always think they're interested in me in the beginning. But then when it actually comes down to them having to be accountable for what it's like to really be with me, they're like, oh, this is too hard. I miss being, you know.
Are you saying this even of other disabled folks?
No, not them.
She's a disabled woman, and she's saying she's interested. I'm not gonna quote her verbatim, but she's saying she's interested in you. It seems a little no sex in the champagne room over here for me. Okay. So I hope y'all make some sort of connection or at least a conversation.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Because I want to know from sighted folks' perspective, or able-bodied. Have you ever dated someone with a disability? And like, if so, or if not, like, what do you think stands in the way?
So I've never dated someone with a physical disability, like in the sense of like,
but that's
anything
what I mean,
you could think
I
of,
mean,
right?
deaf, blind, or in a wheelchair. That's what I mean.
So yeah, no. None of that. I am a disabled person myself, but I don't go around telling people that because I don't like to take up space. But it's really difficult for me to do certain things. I have a permanent, I'm not supposed to be going to the gym, but I do, you know, because I'm always afraid of like my heart problems and things like that. But
okay.
I have never dated a disabled person. And I would honestly say that now that you've explained some things to me, I realize the reason why I've never dated a disabled person. And it sounds fucked up to say, but if we don't name it, then it'll never get addressed.
Exactly.
Is because I already know that the work that I do in anti-racism work, even amongst anti-racism with Black people, that it's difficult to be in conversations with Black people about race, and if they're Black and they know the answer. And so being with a disabled person, I do feel like I would have a lot more work, like, and that scares me because I'm tired, and that's fucked up, but I'm telling you the answer to your question.
It scares me too, because that's similarly how they feel when they're parents of disabled children. A lot of people do not deserve blind children. And it's scary for romantic relationships. And it's also like a lot of my first experiences with ableism were growing up in my childhood, not being wanted. My own dad didn't want me. He didn't want to do it. It was too much. He didn't know nothing about it. He didn't want to. So the first, you know, loving me was always too hard. And I think that's why I go so hard on trying to love on disabled folks that I meet, because it's like, you know, I hate for people to feel like that. And that's why I do this work, even though I you know, even though I get so exhausted. Like, my sister doesn't deserve to live in a world where people won't love her. Like, she shouldn't have to live like that. And, you know, one time I had to like coddle these parents who had a baby that was blind. They were like, oh, it's going to be so terrible. And I'm like, that's the first experience they're going to have with hating themselves is you hate them. You can't, people have experience, they can love parts of me. Like, people love my outspokenness. They love the way I'm passionate about these things. They love so many things about me, but they struggle with loving me wholly. So they just take a few pieces. You know, they love who I am as a friend, but they won't love me romantically. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I know what you're saying.
So it's just like, I'm so used to being taken in pieces. I've never been taken and wanted completely as I am. I've always had to compartmentalize myself and make, you know, and to be accepted by, you know, certain people. So, yeah, I understand. You're right. You're telling the truth. And I have to acknowledge that this is it. This is the real truth. Nobody wants to do that damn work. So that's where we are with it right now. That's why I make people pay me to talk, because I can't deal with this toxic shit for free. It's too abusive. It's too painful. And sometimes, like, I can't even get out of bed. I'm like, oh God, I gotta wake up and do life again. Because I'm just so aware, and that awareness is too heavy sometimes. So I got to get out here and get this money and change the world for young blind kids, so that, like, I feel like I'm here for a reason. Because if not, I just lay in bed.
Right.
like all day and night. I would just
I
lay
feel
there.
like these conversations is like not I won't say a start because I think that that's pacifying the issue, but it's really opening my eyes. Like a lot of times I put an image description, you are the person that I think of, and I know that there's so many yous, right? But
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
because you're the person who has held me accountable. I do think of, like, today I posted 2 memes, right? And I did it from Insta, and I didn't put a description on it. Or sometimes, if I don't know if you follow me often, but if I post something from Twitter, I always copy it and paste it, because I think of
Yeah.
you telling me, bitch, I can't read this shit. Do you mind putting an image description on it? The fuck? Like, and I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. But that is, no, drag me for filth. I don't give a fuck. But that is the work, is to be like, and I think that there's so many parallels between the intersections of like everything else Black women could go through, Black women and non-men could go through, that hearing you say, for me, I can't speak for nobody else who's viewing or listening
Right.
or what have you, but hearing you say, I feel like people love parts of me, but never can love my whole self, like who I
Yeah.
am. That shit is relatable. So
Of course
I
it
can
is.
see how fucked up ableism is then, because we have the same inside. Like I feel like when you said it, you pulled on a string that I have in my heart, like,
Yeah.
so that's, yeah, ableism is definitely fucked up. And I personally am going to be more mindful, and I actually invite the audience to consider ways in which we don't give a fuck about differently able people, disabled people, blind people, wheelchair bound people. I'm trying to think of the list of individuals that are
I
living with
think they
disabilities.
prefer wheelchair users instead of
Wheelchair
wheelchair bound.
users.
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean, I don't
thank
know.
you.
That's what I heard people say that. Yeah.
Sorry, Samantha and Shamika, I apologize. So wheelchair users, when people are not like us or whatever, we just go like this, like, okay. And Shamika and I had this conversation one time at Books and Breakfast, where I was telling her, I was like, maybe before I started doing activism and learning about intersectionality, I used to be the bitch on the bus who would sigh and get upset that the wheelchair was coming on the bus, because I felt like it was delaying my life. You know what I'm saying? And it's so fucked up. But I feel like a lot of people understand that feeling, and they need to know that, like, you never have thought about a person in a wheelchair before, a wheelchair user. You never thought about them before they got on the bus. And now it's an inconvenience that, hello, I exist and I'm here, and I also need a ride to get to where I'm going.
Right.
And so it's just, these conversations do, I think that people do need to examine themselves and just do the work and just admit that they have not been doing the best. You know what I'm saying? So,
And just admit that. So image descriptions are very telling. Like I look at like people that I try to get involved with, and then I'm like, I tell them, hey, you need to start putting image descriptions. And if I see that you can't even do that for me, I'm like, oh, ain't no way in hell that you have what it takes to put in the labor to love me. It's not laborious necessarily, but put in the work to love me. You can't even describe your photos.
right.
Like, that's something so small. Now, what about when it comes to like not wielding your power over me, of being sighted and being able to do things for me that I can't do, read my bank information, read personal and private information, take me where I need to go. How can I trust you to not accidentally wield your power over me when you can't even be trusted to not consider me when you do something that you enjoy? I'm not a part of your happiness and your fun. I just, so image descriptions are telling for me. You can't love me if you can't do this one small fucking thing, so without
I'm gonna do better,
excuses.
boo. I'm gonna do better. I think my efficacy rate with image description is like an 85 right now. So I'm gonna do better. Like,
You're
and
not alone.
I know that I'm wrong too when I posted that image description. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
you're not alone. That's the thing. Don't let people, drag you, because you gotta call them out. What the fuck? Let me see y'all's photos. Where's your image descriptions? Call them right out.
oh my goodness. So we, when we're talking about how did you get involved in activism, because you work with BLM, you are a member of BLM Philly. So how did you get involved in activism work on the ground and online?
So online, it was gradual. I started with the pro-Black movement, as most people did. Oh, Black men, because that's all we, they start out as the center of our awareness when it comes to our pro-Black issues. And then I started seeing the perspective of Black feminists, and I was like, whoa, Black women are like so fucking amazing. And but I had always been vocal about disability and being blind. I had always been vocal. I used to be a creative writer.
Okay.
And in my classes, all of my creative pieces were from the perspective of disabled characters, like blind characters. That's all I know how to be. That's the only story those are the stories I know how to tell. So this has always been, I've always been telling people, stop trying to hide us away, always. But with on the ground stuff, I guess I just felt like BLM was such a popular organization, and I felt like most on the ground organizations have like zero deaf or blind or wheelchair users.
Right.
Like, so I'm like, well, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, what about us? We're literally the most marginalized, but we don't get any attention from y'all. Like, we really don't get any fucking attention. So I started forcing my agenda down everyone's throat.
Right.
So,
you're like, hello.
Yeah, so I really just started showing up at meetings like, and what about me?
Right.
I wasn't an asshole about it, but I definitely I met some super dope people like Dev and Yane and from BLM Philly, like that really started listening, like, hey, I hear you. Hey, how can we incorporate your needs into this chapter? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna give you a list of ways. And so, I got things that I'm working on. I have a campaign that's what I should have mentioned to you before. My campaign for the Blind Folks Travel Fund. So I'm trying to get a campaign together to have the necessities for because travel is such an inaccessibility for us, and it's essential to everyday living. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to make sure that I can raise awareness and get some funds so that when folks come to me and like, yo, like somebody came to me and said, listen, I was just a victim of a hate crime because I'm trans and because I'm blind, and I need money to get to the hospital. I need money for my wounds. And I want to make sure that I have those funds available. I want to make sure that I have people available who are like, yo, are you in the city of, Orange County, New Jersey? Can you, I want people, like a cohort of individuals who have the time, money, and availability to help with with blind folks trying to get to where they need to be. Right. So that's my campaign. If anyone wants to get involved, please message me about the Blind Folks Travel Fund, and I'll let you know any more.
Yes,
info.
and I tagged your social media in the bio so people can just click and follow you there. Something I wanted to talk to you about when you said you were bringing it to BLM Philly. This has been a sore point of contention in BLM. And I don't even want to really speak on it, but I think it's pertinent to the conversation. So accessibility, what, if any, recommendations do you have for people who don't realize they're being shitty human beings by not having conversations about accessibility because it doesn't affect them? And what about Black folks who want to be in solidarity but can't afford what white people define as accessibility?
So what I find strange is that I get that question a lot. But then when I give folks alternative to cash reparations, they don't do that. That's what, like, I feel that's what's so strange. Like, how can I ever begin to tell y'all the large things that need to be done when you can't even post descriptions on your pictures?
Right.
Like, you have to, the first thing y'all need to do is be dedicated. Be dedicated to doing the work and helping. Like, there was one time and I was telling folks, like, hey, the host of the Breakfast Club just humiliated a blind woman who called and says she's tired of being discriminated against when she tries to get work. And that dickhead Charlemagne and that bitch ass nigga Envy were like, oh, we wouldn't trust you to do things like babysit our children. No. And I really just wanted folks.
They said that?
Yeah, they said we don't trust you to babysit our children. And they her name and everything. And I posted, I'm like, y'all, can y'all help me? Everybody was like, well, we don't listen to the Breakfast Club anyway. And I'm like, that's not the fucking point. This is a platform where we could raise awareness. A woman was humiliated on national fucking radio and nobody cared. Nobody cared. No one. I begged people to care. I always tell folks what you can do to help me. All I said was help me raise awareness, talk about it, discuss the shit. They said, well, we already know they're trash. That is not the point. When they do other shit, everybody's so quick to talk about when they do other shit. But when it comes to
when the Soldier Boy and Drake
but even
Birdman.
when it comes to even when it comes to colorist shit that they do or
the black trans joke that they made about
yeah,
Janet Mock,
that got so much like awareness. And how come when I literally begged everybody and everybody said no, they're trash, we don't fuck with them anyway. Like, how can I trust y'all to do anything else for me when I literally have to beg you to care, to beg you to see me? Like, it's like I'm not here. Like, I mean, I struggle a lot. Like, you know, we still struggle a lot when I go to meetings, like events, and they're so, you know, surprised by me, and they're just so like frozen in fear. It's like, oh no, blind lady, what to do? It's like I'm like a three-headed monster. When they see me, they get frozen in fear because they don't want to do the wrong thing. So they just do nothing. And then, you know, because they're so afraid, look how much their fear has power over my access to things. And that's what people don't think about. They get to just wield their power around and have my life be affected. And that is not fair. I want some control back. I really want some power back over my own fucking life.
Right.
You know? So give us our power back. Give us money. Hire us, love us, treat our children well when you have them. Do those kinds of things. That's what you can do. It's not all about money. Like, care, give a fuck. That's what you can do. You can give a fuck. Give a damn. At least one.
Thank you. And I know that we talked about cash poor folks. Like, bitch, I'm broke right now. Like, I mean, you know, and these shows are super important, and folks want the shows transcribed. And so there's like a team of, you know, I talked to you about this offline. There's a team of 5 volunteers transcribing, but you and I have been on this call since 7:15, 7:30, whatever, right? Or 7:40, whatever time we got on the phone. And so it's over 2 hours we've been talking. And so if we get on the phone, and then I send it to my team for them to transcribe, they're literally spending twice the amount of hours to do it. And somebody was like, well, why don't you just pay for the service? I'm like, bitch, I got 28 fucking episodes and I got 15 more scheduled. Like, do you have pay for the service money? Exactly. Like, you know, and so, yes, I know it's important, but how can people who are cash poor be accessible? Like, I know that some BLM chapters offer sign language. Some BLM chapters will be like, oh, we can do closed caption transcription. But those are the BLM chapters who often have more visibility and for reasons and funding. I said for reasons, but you're gonna say funding, and I'm gonna mind my black ass business because I'm just gonna be over here.
I can take the heat because I just don't give a fuck. I already look. I don't got nothing to lose. Look at me. I ain't got shit to lose. Okay, y'all already don't fuck with me.
I was like, oh so, my. My eye.
They already don't fuck with me, but listen, I know those things are costly. So like if you could just ask, if you ever want to know these kinds of questions, like my first thought is to ask a person who's deaf or hard of hearing, like, do you know anyone who, you know, so on and so forth. Like I ask these questions, or like, you know, so we might be able to tell you, like, if you ask an actual person who's deaf and hard of hearing, if you know, if this is something that they want, then they might be able to find somebody who can help you. They should have organizations for that kind of shit. Like, I wish they had more organized. Listen, Netflix just recently, a few years ago, started doing audio description for their TV shows. So we late, and there's a lot of things we never had access to that we're just now getting. But a lot of things outside of, like, I know accessibility is one of the main sources of like lack of inclusion, right? And so the real cure for that The real cure for that
tell us the tea, sis.
is universal design. And we have to start making a world that's universally accessible so that people don't have to go out of their way to make it accessible. Why wouldn't you consider us in the beginning?
Right.
So when we begin things, if we already make them accessible for other people to understand, then if you stay ready, you never got to get ready. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, Pastor Ayanna. The fuck? She said, you stay ready, you ain't never gotta get ready.
Get ready. Okay, can I get an amen?
Ashe.
Listen, we need to start really talking about universal design, and that's one of the things I'm going to start talking about more on my Patreon, is how to make a universally accessible world, and start making things so that you never have to adapt them, so that you start considering us in the beginning instead of, oh, I forgot about the disabled.
Right.
Like, we're always like an afterthought. Oops, oh, I forgot you were here. How do you forget about whole entire people? I will never understand, but we are the forgotten people. And if we start making a world that's universally accessible to everyone, then, think about us in the beginning. When you plan your events and you want to do something like, oh, let's do a paint and sip, how about not? How about you think about something that's more accessible from the beginning, so you never have to be like, oops, I forgot there were going to be blind people there. How are they going to paint and sip? Think about it in the beginning. Start enlisting blind folks, in the beginning of these processes. And I'm sorry, but money is a real issue for us. If if folks think that they got it hard, how about being part of the 75% of a demographic who's never employed?
Right.
I know y'all don't got money to give, but we need it. We need it. And that's the unfortunate truth about the situation. So, I'm one of the folks that will tell a disabled person, if you got to rob, steal, kill, do what you got to do to get this money.
Scammers unite.
Okay, because they will literally let us die. So if it's survival of the fittest out in this bitch. Okay, so we really just got to do what we got to do.
So Ayanna, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. There's one question that I leave for the end. It's a 2-pronged question. The first part is there anything we did not cover today that you're like, oh shit, I forgot to talk about that, or you're surprised I didn't ask you? And then the second thing is, who would you like to see on the show?
I want to see another disabled friend of mine. She's a wheelchair user, and she's into kink, and she's an advocate for other wheelchair users. And I don't want to be the only disabled person I see on here. Physically disabled person I see here. I want there to be more space for the rest of us. I want there to be more accessibility and opportunity for the rest of us. I know so many disabled people that I could give you a list of folks who you should have speak here.
No, I'm with the shits. I wanna slide my disclaimer and my accountability. And when I thought of people to be on the show, I didn't think of anybody famous. I thought about niggas I'm in community with every day. So I reached out to Shamika Andrews. I reached out to Shay Shay and Stick. And I reached out to like people that I'm actually in community with that have these different intersections. And because people have those different intersections, not everyone was able to get back to me. People are, I don't know if it's just because people have been noticing I'm doing a show, but people are responding to my emails 6 weeks later after I've sent them.
Would you have reached out to me had I not reached out to you to ask to be here?
I'm not sure. And I have to be honest, and I'm only gonna say it is because there was a conversation on Facebook. I don't know if you remember it. It was maybe about a month and a half ago, or around my birthday. I don't remember. But
what did I do?
No, you didn't do anything. You didn't do nothing. I think I made a post was like, which one of y'all niggas secret crushed me on Beyonce's internet? And everybody and their moms was like, it was me, bitch. I got a crush on you. And you came out swinging left and right. Y'all need to stop playing, because it was really me. And then everybody was like, oh, time to go home. Everyone was like, time to go home. So I was like, I'm not inviting nobody who likes me on the show. I Like,
it was dead ass me. It was definitely me. Oh shit. You got me. Damn, I forgot about that.
I was like, I'm not inviting nobody that likes me on the show. I was thinking about doing a segment called the segment was going to be called Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace.
Oh God, please don't.
That's what everyone told me. Don't do it. So that's fine. The whole thing is fine.
But
your video went out again, babe.
oh no. Yeah. This is definitely them trying to tell me my time's about to be up on this phone. I keep unplugging it and plugging it back in.
Okay.
But look, that's unfortunate. Honestly, Dee, I'm gonna keep it real with you. That is unfortunate. I would have never.
I knew you was gonna say something. Go ahead.
I would have never came on here like, yo, Dee, what's good though? Like that's not me. I just like making Black women feel desirable and beautiful and appreciated because they are, and you know.
But it had nothing to do with you being disabled. It goes back to our conversation in the very beginning. I have a very hard time dating women. Period.
Oh my God. No, it's not. It's
no,
okay.
And so for me, even in inviting women that are interested in me, it goes back to labor that, like I said before, at times I'm not willing to do. I'm like what you said about men being nasty and just ready to do whatever. Sometimes it's easier to be like, I'm in here and I'm out. I gotta go. Or like, or if they're over here, all right, so I'm gonna hit you up tomorrow. Like, you know what I'm saying? With women, it's like, in my experience, it has been a lot of, so what are we doing? And I'm like, wow, I'm gonna go to bed. That's what I'm doing. But I know it means something more. And I have been socialized as a woman. So I totally get where it comes from. But I'd never be prepared to deal with it.
Listen,
I'm a fuckboy. I don't know what to tell y'all. I'm not gonna sit here and martyr myself.
You have to do better and do this work to treat people better.
I know.
Okay. So, but I'm glad I reached out because this conversation needed to be had.
Everybody is agreeing. I thoroughly enjoyed our time together.
So thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. I want everybody to go watch The Good Doctor because that is like, it's
I'm not watching that show.
I love that fucking show so much. It's such
I might watch one episode.
It's a good representation of what it feels like to be like, to be overwhelmed by the world when you have a disability. It's just so fucking exhausting. But yes. It's so good.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for dealing with me and my tardiness and all the things that come along with being me. I'm working on it. And yes, I will work on being a better person because for the past year and a half, I feel like I have leaned into the uncomfortableness of being like, this is not something I want to do. I just want to post the meme. I don't want to write a description. I don't want to take my time to write the description so someone else can read it. And so I appreciate you just holding the coal underneath my ass and being like, bitch, it's important to me. And if I'm important to you, then you should be able to write a description of the photo. And I know it's more than that, but for me, that is how I often interact with you, by the things I post. And so I just have to be mindful of that. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we did this.
I'm glad too. And I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. I hope folks get a chance to listen to it if they didn't get a chance to see it live. Where can we find this after it's
not my live? God, look at me. I never publicize this podcast. So we have a YouTube channel. It hasn't been launched because we're waiting on the transcriptions, but I made the executive decision, since I'm the show host, the producer, the everything. I made the executive decision to publish the videos as they are. And so there will be a YouTube channel. We're going to have a launch party. But as of right now, if you didn't want to be on my Facebook page because you're a hater, but you want to go listen and put some coins in my pocket, you can go listen to the full sets on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, actually every major platform we are listed on. I couldn't believe it. I did that.
When will it be ready?
Oh yeah, that's good. 48 hours. So I lied though. I told Zahara Kelly Cabrera that I was going to do it in 48 hours. And this whole entire weekend, I was extremely drunk. But I'm going to make it my business to upload the past 4 videos so that way we can put new episodes. But if y'all go, there's an entire season. But for right now, Ayanna, you can share this video as it is, as the live, and just
Definitely.
go ahead and do what you're gonna do with that.
Your page is public, yes?
Yes, my page is public.
Oh, good.
So thank you so much. I hope y'all have a great evening. And this has been another amazing episode of The Full Set. Peace, y'all.